Welcome to Yahoo Finance Sports Report, a unique look at the business of sports, brought to you by Yahoo Finance and Yahoo Sports. I'm your host, Joe Pompliano, and I'm here to coach you through the financial game. We'll look beyond the headlines, analyze all the latest sports news, the teams, trades, and billion-dollar deals, so you and your portfolio will win big. This week, we're taking a look at DraftKings' latest Q4 earnings, the New York Giants' sale of a minority stake in their franchise, what's next for Formula One's media rights in the US, and so much more. I'll also be joined by Tom Penn, CEO and founding partner of the new Major League Soccer franchise San Diego FC, to talk about the upcoming MLS season, the franchise expansion process of MLS, and the North American FIFA World Cup in 2026. Let's huddle up and get right into it. All right, it's time for this week's Pomps Playbook, where I take a look at some of the biggest headlines in sports that you and your portfolio need to know. First up, let's talk about the New York Giants putting a minority stake in the team up for sale last week. Now, as a reminder, NFL owners voted to allow private equity funds to buy limited stakes in NFL teams last summer. NFL teams can sell up to 10% of their team to private equity funds, but only a select number of funds are currently allowed to invest, including Arctos Partners, Ares Management Corporation, Sixth Street, and a consortium featuring Blackstone, Carlyle, CVC, Dynasty Equity, and Ludus. A few NFL teams have already accepted private equity investors, including the Buffalo Bills and Miami Dolphins, which each sold 10% stakes in their respective franchises. Now, the New York Giants have hired Moelis & Company to lead the sales process for a 10% non-controlling minority sale in the 100-year-old NFL franchise. The Mara and Tisch families each own 50% of the New York Giants today. Tim Mara founded the Giants in 1925 for $500, while Bob Tisch purchased 50% of the team for $75 million in 1991. Tim Mara's son John and Bob Tisch's son Steve have been the controlling owners of the team since their father's death in 2005. Given the team's storied history and their place in the New York City market, the Giants should have no shortage of interested parties. Forbes most recently valued the Giants at $7.3 billion, making the franchise the fourth most valuable team in the NFL. And once this minority stake is sold, we'll likely see a new NFL franchise valuation record. I'll be keeping my eye on this sales process, and I expect more teams to seek minority investments from private equity sector over the coming months. Next, we're breaking down DraftKings' recent Q4 earnings. The American gaming company generated $1.39 billion in fourth quarter revenue, which was in line with Wall Street analysts' expectations. DraftKings also reported that it had 4.8 million monthly average users for Q4, a 37% increase from the same point in 2023 and 85% increase from 2022. But average revenue per user decreased to $97, a 16% drop from 2023. Additionally, DraftKings shared their iGaming revenue for the first time in company history, with data going back to 2022. Q4 iGaming revenue came in at $426 million versus $825 million in sportsbook revenue. This difference is significant, considering that DraftKings' iGaming business is about 50% smaller than its sportsbook business. The Q4 iGaming revenue showed the outsized impact this business unit can have for DraftKings on its margins, as iGaming is only legal in 5 states across the U.S. versus 25 states where sports betting is legal. Jason Robbins noted in his letter to shareholders that the company is hoping to see more iGaming legalization in the country now that the 2024 elections have concluded. I anticipate that DraftKings will be aggressive in expanding their iGaming expansion, especially as marketing costs continue to add up for their sportsbook unit. The company's marketing expenses were $368 million for the fourth quarter, up 27% from the same period last year. All in all, DraftKings stock is up 21% over the last year. To round out Pomp's playbook, we're talking about Shaquille O'Neal's massive new deal with TNT. Front Office Sports reported last Friday that Shaq signed a multi-year extension with TNT worth $15 million per year. The deal is another encouraging sign for NBA fans that the Inside the NBA team will remain together when the show moves to ESPN and ABC next NBA season, as part of a licensing deal between Disney and TNT owner Warner Bros. Discovery. Charles Barkley recently confirmed that he will also remain with TNT after fielding offers from competitors. His deal with TNT is worth more than $21 million annually. And Kenny Smith is expected to sign a new contract to stay with TNT as well. And while there is no official word on Ernie Johnson, signs are pointing to a likely reunion with his beloved Inside the NBA crew, who have been together for almost 14 years in total. Shaq's $15 million per year deal shows the premium networks are putting on talent for NBA coverage, especially with NBC and Amazon Prime Video becoming new league broadcast partners in 2025. NBC hired former superstar Carmelo Anthony last week to be a member of its NBA studio programming. The network is also bringing on Reggie Miller and Jamal Crawford as game analysts and is interested in Dwayne Wade and Grant Hill as well. Amazon Prime Video has also expressed interest in Wade and Stan Van Gundy, but already signed Taylor Rooks as well as former NBA superstars Blake Griffin and Dirk Nowitzki to their studio teams, according to reporting from The Athletic. But as we look forward to this new era of NBA media in 2025 and beyond, one thing is for sure: networks are banking on big names to drive viewership. This week for the Deeper Dive, where I give you a play-by-play analysis of news in the sports world and its significance to your bottom line, we're talking about YouTube TV and the fragmentation of sports media rights. Now, last week, YouTube TV found itself embroiled in a carriage dispute with Paramount Global. The conflict nearly saw all of Paramount's channels go dark on the Google-owned streaming services, just over a month from the start of March Madness and 2 months from the Masters. And while the two sides eventually struck an extension agreement at the 11th hour, the dispute was also a reminder of the massive rising costs of sports fandom as sports media rights become more fragmented. When YouTube TV launched in 2017, it was seen as a transformational product. YouTube TV offered a skinny bundle of about 40 channels, including ABC, CBS, Fox, NBC, and ESPN, priced at $35 per month, a much cheaper option than a bloated cable package. YouTube TV was a fantastic option for sports fans. It had access to all the major broadcast networks that were spending billions on sports rights each year. But it also had a valuable mix of cable channels, and it even carried 10 regional sports networks, providing customers with 80% of all live sports broadcasts in the US. This eventually helped YouTube TV add more than 8 million subscribers over the years. But there is one big problem. Rather than improving the product over time to justify price increases, YouTube TV has basically done the opposite. First, there were price hikes. YouTube TV went from $35 per month to $40, $40 to $50, $50 to $65, then $65 to $73. And most recently, the company announced its fifth price hike, going from $73 to $83 per month, a 230% increase from 2017. YouTube TV has always justified price increases by telling customers that content is more expensive. And that's sort of fair. Inflation happens, and no one seriously expected to pay $35 per month forever when YouTube TV first debuted. However, the issue is that YouTube TV hasn't even done that. While increasing prices to keep the same channel lineup or add more channels is one thing, the platform has now removed many of the channels that made the service so valuable in the first place. In 2020, YouTube TV dropped 19 regional sports networks. Then customers lost access to Yes Network, SNY, Nessun, KTVK in Phoenix, and MLB Network. YouTube TV has also experienced several blackouts from carriage disputes, including a multi-day blackout in 2021 with Disney, and the streamer had a close call last week from its Paramount dispute. YouTube TV and Paramount did reach a short-term agreement to avoid the blackout, but that doesn't mean the problem is solved. The bigger issue of the cost and fragmentation of sports rights is only getting worse. If you are a YouTube TV customer who wants to watch all nationally televised events for major US sports leagues, the NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, and MLS included, you now need at least 7 different streaming services, costing you more than $2,500 per year. And while YouTube TV has competitors in Sling TV, DirecTV Stream, Hulu plus Live TV, and Fubo TV, all of these platforms are missing key sports offerings and have some of their own problems. A few other businesses have tried to create skinny bundles designed exclusively for sports fans, but Venue Sports never made it to market, and both DirecTV and Comcast options have similar limitations as other streamers. I can't believe I'm saying this, but maybe cable wasn't so bad after all. I really do think someone will eventually create a solution that bundles everything back together. But sports leagues aren't in a hurry. With more companies bidding on broadcasting rights, these leagues are making more money than ever. And this bidding war has skyrocketed franchise valuations and player salaries. So don't expect leagues to give up that anytime soon. We've made it to the one-on-one, a conversation where I get to break down news and sports with a key player in the industry. This week, I'm joined by San Diego FC CEO and founding partner, Tom Penn. Tom, thanks so much for joining the show today. I think the most logical place to start is why San Diego, right? San Diego is about to make their debut as MLS's 30th club, but more specifically, why San Diego as a market was so interesting to you?
San Diego, perfect place for soccer, always has been. Scores off the charts in terms of participation and excellence. I mean, everybody plays soccer here. The weather's perfect. And then we've produced a disproportionate number of national team players and stars coming out of this market. So the talent base is here. San Diego, as many people know, is jammed right up against the border with Tijuana. It's really a blended community. So you've got this Mexican culture influence, unlike anywhere else in the country. And then it scores off the charts demographically, right? There's 3.3 million people, and there's only one major men's team, the Padres. Since the Chargers left, nothing has filled that void, and we're here to do that. You put all that together, Joe, and that's why MLS has always been interested in this market for 30 years. Just couldn't get the capital together and the stadium plan together, and it all came together for us in this period of time.
So I would love to talk about that process right there that you mentioned, right? Just the entirety of an expansion process. You go through, obviously, the numbers need to work for the league to make sure that the expansion fee is appropriate for the other owners, but there's a million other things that go into it, right? From establishing the ownership group to the stadium development to team branding to roster construction, everything else like that. Can you maybe just give us a little bit of an insight into how that process all played out for you guys?
Yeah, it starts with three big things. In order for expansion to work, you need three things. First, the market. And we just talked about that. San Diego, great market, always has been for soccer, no doubt about that. Next is the stadium. You need to have a tangible plan, either a real building to go into or a believable plan for MLS to say you're going to have your own stadium within a really short period of time. And then the third thing is the money. You need to have the capital. You need to have the principal investors. So in this case, we had the market for sure. Then we had the stadium because San Diego State University has redeveloped where Jack Murphy Stadium, Qualcomm Stadium used to be, where the Chargers used to play. They won this big battle, this big bid to redo that land. And they built a 32,500 seat venue that's perfect for soccer. So we had the stadium, we had the market. It just came down to finding the investors. And that was the key thing that took a little while. We had, from the beginning, the Native American tribes, Sequan, the Native American folks who have been here for 12,000 years. MLS always wants local owners. You can't get more local than that. They're not moving anywhere. They're not going anywhere. They're totally vested and invested in this market. But they needed a partner and wanted a partner, and it took a while to find our way to Sir Mohammed Mansour, a multi-billionaire from Egypt who had invested recently in the Right to Dream academies across the world. So all of a sudden you had this amazing partnership where you had a joint venture, 50-50, the Native American tribe and a multi-billionaire from Egypt. Crazy story.
We've got to take a quick break, but we'll be back with more of my conversation with Tom Penn right after this. Welcome back to Yahoo Finance Sports Report. I'm your host, Joe Pompliano. I'm here with San Diego FC CEO and founding partner, Tom Penn. So I want to talk more about Right to Dream. You just mentioned it there specifically, but I think it's a really unique part of your guys' bid and potentially even the team moving forward because no other MLS team really is structured as this setup. So for those that don't know, Right to Dream is essentially an academy structure. They have other teams abroad, but you guys are going to be bringing players up and developing them maybe more than other people have seen in MLS in the past. Can you just explain why you think that offers your team a competitive advantage?
Yeah, first in global football, those that know, you're incentivized to home grow your own talent for a couple of reasons. First, you home grow that talent from teenage years and they're able to sign with you as teenagers. They can't sign with anybody else. Second, in the global transfer market, the best players don't get traded, they get transferred in financial deals. So if you have their contractual rights, you sell those rights in the global marketplace. And you see a lot of those big transfers happening in Europe. So the conceit here is that San Diego has so much talent. If we were to invest in developing that talent, sign that talent to professional contracts early, you then get a flywheel going of major international transfers. And what Right to Dream does for 25 years, they've been developing the best young talent, starting first in Ghana. So they've been in sub-Saharan Africa, developing young Ghanaians and Ivory Coast, that whole region. And then they went in, they acquired a team up in Denmark, FC Nordsjælland, and they've created this pipeline of Ghanaian and Scandinavian, African and Scandinavian kids, the best ones blended together and then being transferred on into the Premier League and all the major leagues in Europe. They're seeing annual 10, 20, $30 million transfers every year out of their system. Then Mr. Mansour invested in Right to Dream and added it in Egypt. So there's a Right to Dream Academy in Egypt as well. Then he said, bring it to America because America gets this. So we're doing a Right to Dream in San Diego that will service both San Diego and across the border in Tijuana. In FIFA, you're not allowed to transfer players across border until they're 18 years old. The exception is if you're within 50 kilometers of an international border, you can recruit 50 kilometers over the border. Our training facility is 48.5 kilometers from the border. We invest now in kids 10, 11, and 12. We offer them a full scholarship. It's a residential facility, and we offer a school. So we're a residence, a school, and the best football training all in one, interwoven with those other places, Africa, Scandinavia, and Egypt.
And will some of these players end up playing in Scandinavia as well, or they'll be specifically earmarked for the MLS club?
We have multiple pathways, right? So a lot of the young best talent has left America early because they aspire to play as soon as they can in Europe. So think of Christian Pulisic, best player in America, gets over into Germany early as a teen. In this particular case, we will engage with some families, some young phenoms, and we can offer them a quicker pathway into Europe, for example. So maybe we have one of the best American kids in our academy, and he aspires to go right to Europe as soon as possible. So we accelerate his development through his teen years. The other half of the story is if the kids aren't on a professional pathway, we support them on an educational pathway. So Right to Dream has been sending some of these amazingly talented Ghanaians, Egyptians, and so on to the best prep schools in America and on to college, all on scholarship, boys and girls. It's really a remarkable initiative.
So the expansion process, specifically in year one for a team, can kind of be hit or miss on the field, court, pitch, whatever you want to call it. But off of that, are there specific benchmarks or metrics that you're going to be tracking to determine how year one goes from a success point of view?
Yeah, look, first is on pitch performance, right? How's the team going to do? And, there's a chance you can be good right out of the chute. St. Louis was, others have been. At LAFC, when I was there, we were pretty darn good, set a record at that point. So the team can be competitive. That's the first thing you're looking for. My other key metrics and measures certainly is revenue. Everything in pro sports, the valuations are based on revenue. People pay multiples of revenue, and you need to build the business first. So what we look for is a robust, substantial sponsorship base, and then that ticket base. And is the ticket base sustainable year over year so you can ride out the tough times? That's where contractually obligated income comes in, multi-year premium seat deals. So we've really focused on that in launching our club, is getting 3, 5, 7-year club seat deals, 5, 7, 10-year ultra premium seat deals. And then how big can we build our season ticket base? And then the other nuance in MLS is the supporters, those rabid, fun, crazy fans in the end zone that never sit, that wave the flags, that sing the entire match. They are the atmosphere setters. So what I have my eye on is how can we establish a supporter culture in a way that it's impactful? Because it gives you competitive advantage locally, but it also becomes part of your brand, part of your product. It's nearly as important because so many American fans come for the first time. And when you get that experience of just feeling those fans and that emotion and that passion, it's not in any other professional sport in America with the singing and the pageantry. It's almost like college football feeling, but at the pro level without a student section.
What is your expectation for what could happen to MLS or how the product could change after the World Cup in 2026?
Yeah, I always say it's this double booster that's happening right now. So we've got the Messi booster. Now you throw the World Cup booster, and where does that rocket ship go? So in this case, Messi is here, and feels like here to stay and here to be here for the long haul, which is interesting as he sunsets. What other superstars are coming behind him that are going to be really interesting to the macro American audience? And then how does that World Cup capture the entire nation's attention, because there's nothing like when it's here and it's on our turf, in our time zones, in our cities, to see the entire world converge and just infect us. And then the idea is there's a version of that in all of our communities because MLS is rolling. So it's difficult to know, Joe, but I feel like there will be a significant boost and an uptick in overall interest and in overall relevance in America and in North America, because this is happening in Mexico. So we're getting more of this blend of the best of America playing against Mexico, that Leagues Cup format where top 8 teams in MLS play all the 18 teams in Liga Mex. And that's kind of interesting. And the way the world gets smaller and our continent gets smaller, it'll be very interesting to see how things develop coming out of the World Cup.
Amazing. Well, Tom, thanks so much for joining us. I'm excited to see how you guys do this first year in San Diego.
You're welcome down here anytime. We got a box seat ready for you.
The clock is winding down here, but we have just enough time for some final buzz. This week, I'm covering the ongoing battle for Formula One's media rights in the US. Puck's John Oran reported last week that ESPN will not renew its media rights deal with Formula One after the 2025 season. F1 currently receives $90 million per year from ESPN for its contract. However, the racing series is looking for a higher annual fee for its next deal, which likely pushed ESPN to walk away. Now, F1 initially gave ESPN its American media rights for free in 2018, and the network has seen viewership skyrocket in that time, from 538,000 average viewers in 2017, before it started broadcasting F1, to 1.1 million average viewers in 2024 under its current $90 million annual deal. However, 1.1 million average viewers, while a stark improvement, may not have been enough for ESPN to justify a hefty fee increase. Now, with its US media rights hitting the open market, competition is heating up from potential broadcast and streaming partners. Netflix, which streams the hit series Formula One Drive to Survive, is unsurprisingly interested in F1's US rights, and would continue its foray into live sports by adding Formula One. F1 would surely be interested in a partnership with Netflix, considering that Drive to Survive helped fuel the sport's popularity in the US. NBC is also looking into a bid and was home of Formula One in the United States from 2012 to 2017. The network could also use F1 to prop up sports offerings for its Peacock streaming service. Given that the media rights to all major US sports leagues are locked up for the next few years, though, Formula One should easily be able to create a bidding war among streamers and broadcasters to get a higher fee. Keep a close eye on these negotiations over the next few months, and don't be shocked when you see a new record-breaking number for Formula One. We're all out of time, so it's officially game over for this week. Thank you so much to Tom Penn and for all of you for joining us. Make sure to tune into Yahoo Finance Sports Reports on Thursdays at 5 p.m. wherever you get your podcast. I'm your host, Joe Pompliano. See you next time.
This content was not intended to be financial advice and should not be used as a substitute for professional financial services.